My name is Sage Roosevelt Robinson, and I'm a Tai Chi Qigong master. 47 years of practice, daily. When it comes to health, there's no exercise more profound to helping health as Tai Chi. It affects the mind, the body, and the spirit. For me, if it wasn't for Tai Chi, I'd be dead. Now, you see this? Here you go, right here. This you definitely, well, you don't have to have it in your film. But see this? This jacket, look at it. See this jacket?
It's got some years on it.
But you look at it, this jacket, I wore this jacket out playing Tai Chi. See this jacket? I mean, years and years of training. This jacket. That's why it hangs there. This jacket, man. This is my first, not my first, but yeah, my first piece that somebody made for me.
Wow.
And they kept patching it, see? Kept putting pieces in it.
Yeah.
Make it work.
Nice.
So,
okay.
Hey, man. This jacket hangs in the studio. This is the beginning of our organization. Tai Chi is an ancient Chinese martial art. Most times when people think of Tai Chi, the novice, they think of it as only as a health exercise, but it's really self-defense oriented. It's called meditation in action, or it's called slow motion movement. Some people have even said it has patterns similar to yoga. Paying attention or focusing on how you're breathing or how you're not breathing, or how much tension is in your body that you maybe never knew that was there. The breath that I teach is designed to create a rhythm. So when I start with a student and I have them breathing, following my pattern, the first thing they say to me, "That's too long, I can't breathe that way." Well, it's not they can't breathe that way, it's just they never contemplated that way of breathing, and they never found out how to use their lungs. That's the first step for lowering blood pressure. That's the first step for calming the mind. That's the first step for allowing one to be relaxed and serene and to dump off loads of stress. In terms of Tai Chi, there are three forms. I teach a classical Yang form, or old form, long, but not too long. I teach a short form called a simplified form. Short for busy people who don't have a lot of time. Some you can do in 5 or 6 minutes. And then I teach a fast, slow set classical form. So there are many things you can learn in this system here. Just depends on the time you have and how much you want to put in. I got people starting at 60, 70, 80 years old. I think I heard one of my students mention to you how Tai Chi saved his life. You hear these stories all day if you run around and meet people who practice Tai Chi. Breathing is better, if the asthma is better. These are life-saving changes that come about when you practice the art of Tai Chi. Tai Chi will affect anyone, whether you're addicted on drugs, post-traumatic syndromes. That was me until I found Master Liang. Master T.T. Liang, he found me sitting on the dirt by the duck pond, by the water over there, and I had a gun under my right palm. I was sitting there contemplating taking my life. And he was off to the right side of me practicing Tai Chi, which I didn't know nothing about. He yelled at me and asked me why was I there. And I yelled back and said, "I can't sleep. He reached down and he picked his gun up out from under my hand, and I stood up and he looked at me. And then he got in real close and looked me in my eyes, and I was frightened, of course. I don't know if because he had the gun or what, but he was just, the way he looked at me, it was a changing moment of my life, because he said to me, if I come, he would teach me to sleep. And he started to teach me Tai Chi. Just to lift my arms up and let them down was the hardest thing in my life to do, because the way you had to do them. Everybody goes, he said, no, slow. By the time I had finished that practice, which appeared to be hours, but I'm sure it was only half an hour or so, I was tired of ever been in my life, and I used to saw wood and pick cotton all day. It was miserable, but it was life-changing, because I never forgot it from that day on. Within 7 to 8 days of trying to do what he showed me and being with him, I fell asleep, and when I awakened, I was another human being. I was someone who, I've never thought about taking my life again, and I've always been inspired to practice Tai Chi. Sometimes we want to put too much into a movie, and it's very simple. So we go here, deflect down, right? And chop fist, right? Some people do this.
Yeah.
You know, just way too much. That's about 8 moves in there, 2 minutes. My vision for Tai Chi is for it to become a critical part of preventative care throughout all the communities in America, but especially in Roxbury. My interest is to go around the corner and Miss Jones or Mr. Jones said, hey, Master, I'll be in class tomorrow. Or, wow, I'm doing great. My doctor said I'm fine. That's important to me. That's why Roxbury Tai Chi is here, because actually I'm part of the community. I'm a cornerstone in building this community. So my hopes and my dreams is, even after I'm gone, that Tai Chi still exists, because I left it with so many people. If it can survive and be part of the growth of this society, then that would be my greatest achievement. And one master said to me, you will have tens of thousands of students, but you're lucky if you live long enough to teach one. Now, for me, I feel like I just started. I'm talking about learning, because every day something new happens with me with Tai Chi. Every day is just beautiful life. Frees the spirit and the mind, and makes living a wonderful thing, you know? It's a joy.
So this is Cambridgeport History Day. This is the 4th year we've done it, and it's a neighborhood celebration of the history of Cambridgeport. It's a great project with a lot of little fun parts to it. There's a walking tour that's led by Charlie Sullivan.
I'm Charles Sullivan. I'm director of the Cambridge Historical Commission, and today I'm going to lead a tour of the Cambridgeport neighborhood with particular reference to Francis Dana, who was the original developer of streets and houses in Central Square and throughout Cambridgeport.
It's also the sort of culmination of the If This House Could Talk celebration, which is when we have about 100 houses throughout Cambridgeport that have signs up that explain little parts of the history of their house. And these are really great little signs with all sorts of sort of quirky little histories. People talk about, you know, what they found in their house or what their neighbors told them, or how the neighborhood has changed since they've been living there. And it's, you know, a one-of-a-kind project that's actually has started to catch on nationally. There's been a couple cities around the country are starting to do this, but it's really started here in Cambridgeport, and it's really starting to expand. There's been a group in California that's been doing it, and it's really going sort of national. It's a great project. It's been featured in the American Association for State and Local Histories publication and the National Trust publication. So there's a whole bunch of attention that's come out of If This House Could Talk, and it all started from the Cambridgeport History Day.
My name's Jim Murphy. I'm a former resident of Cambridge. I'm here for the 1812 bicentennial celebration here, along with the folks from Cambridgeport organization here. I'm representing the 1812 U.S. Marines. We are part of the Marine Guard aboard USS Constitution, and we are officially a non-paid volunteer of the United States Navy, and we go out whenever the ship goes out.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you a demonstration on the firing of a musket. The musket used by the Marines in those days in the 1812 aboard USS Constitution was the 3rd Model Brown Bess India Pack. The way I'm going to show you is the way it referred to as load by word. The Marine would be standing at attention. The drum would roll, da-da-da-da-da-da, boom. And then the officer would cry out, or give the order, or the sergeant would, to open pan. From that command, the Marine would go from here to here. It would say, handle cartridge. Reaching back into that cartridge, you would take out your cartridge, and you would hold it up like so. Now, the cartridge is made so when you bite it, the powder's going to come out first. You would take that powder from that cartridge and you would just pour a slight amount in that pan. It would say shut pan, cast about. Still holding that cartridge tight with your finger. You shut that with the frizzen, cast about, bring it back with the rest of the powder going in first. And then the ball and the buck doesn't really fit. That paper becomes the warding for that shot. The reason being you need the warding is because if you aim down without the warding, what happens to the ball? Goes right out the muzzle. And all you're going to do is have a flash in the pan. So you take your finger, start it, withdraw the rammer, ram down cartridge. You tap it just to pack it a bit. Withdraw rammer, return rammer. Come from here, the Marine would go to this position here, just standing there like that. Now the reason for that, when you look at that and you have a line this way and that way, you know that everybody's ready to fire. Once the officer or the sergeant sees that weapon up in the air like so, he will call shoulder, arms. The Marine would come to almost attention. Now think of it, people are shooting at you. Come to attention. Kind of silly, but it happened. Then they would say, the next command would be, make ready. Turn the weapon, bring it up, and then down. As you're bringing it down to this side, I got one step, 1 foot coming back. You can see it gives me a little turn to the right. I would click that as it comes down, hold it to my right side. Say take aim, and I'm going to turn. Take aim from here, you raise it. The next command is fire. And there's the rest of the warning.
Scare the neighbor, not.
The next command would be shut pan from your back, bring it right to your shoulder, and you're done. That's it.
Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Lyden. I'm the postmaster here. I want to thank you all for being here. And this stamp we're going to unveil right now is the first in a series of stamps that's going to commemorate the War 1812. So you know a little bit about the War 1812. It went on for 2.5 years. So this is the first stamp that happened. As we know, we love the Constitution in Old Ironside because it's parked very close to us in Charlestown. But in August, they did the official first day unveiling of that stamp right on the Constitution. And with the Postal Service, that's the day that we start selling the stamp usually. And so with this unveiling, we can do numerous unveilings at any time after they do the official first day unveiling. The last one I did was one about Charles Hamilton Houston. And when they did the earlier unveiling in the day at 11 o'clock that day, they let me do it at 1 here in Cambridge. So it was very exciting. So without any further ado, I'm going to ask Kit if she wouldn't mind helping me unveil this so you can see it. And it's a first of a forever stamp. And they're 45 cents, and we were going to bring some today, but because of the weather, we didn't. But they do have plenty of them in all the post offices. So, Kit, if you'd like to, this is it.
Well done.
This project is the realization of an idea from Michael Kenny. So I just want to first of all thank Michael Kenny. I don't know if you're first on the list here, but you're first on the list as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
For bringing this idea forward. So let's give Michael some credit for bringing history alive to us all here in Cambridgeport. And then I want to thank Gavin Cleesepiece. Where's Gavin?
He's there.
Gavin. Oh, there you are.
Taking your picture.
Gavin Cleesepiece from the Historical Society for being an important part of implementing this vision, an important part of making Cambridgeport History Day a great and annual function. Gavin lives very close by, right across the way, makes it very convenient. I also want to thank the Historical Commission, which for anybody who doesn't know it is just one of the most wonderful departments in the city that we have with fabulous people who work there doing wonderful things, and please give them a huge round of applause. We'd be another city if we didn't have the Historical Commission. I'm not going to say what's in it. We're Cambridge. So I also want to thank Penny Peters, my assistant, who's been working on this on Cambridgeport History Days a lot. Let me see, Sue Clippinger, not here right now, but Sue helped to get, I guess, these signs up because they're street signs, and that's a traffic department function. So Wayne Amaral for his work, also from the traffic department.
He actually made this.
Wayne Amaral made this?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, that's unusual. Because they are unusual signs. And I see here Catherine Lyden from the U.S. Postal Service and from the Central Square branch, and I'm sorry I missed your unveiling, but you have a wonderful stamp. Let's thank the Postal Service for being a great partner with us. Not to mention the Cambridgeport Neighborhood Association, which has been really important. Kathy Zusi, who started this with us a long time ago, Bill August, Jay Shetterly, Dick Garver, anybody else I'm not recognizing? Shelley Ryman, all the people who have really stood up for this project all along. So thank you all. Thank you for recognizing Cambridgeport's special history and pointing the way to the history of the whole city, which is also terribly interesting. Thank you very much. And now I guess I introduce, I say to Kit, please introduce Charlie.
I will introduce Charlie Sullivan, the director of the Historical Commission that is just back from a long walk.
Oh,
She enlightened us about all the... Yeah.
That's so long. Well, it's a pleasure and a privilege to be here. We're here because of Michael Kenny. Michael, one of your neighborhood regulars, and as you know, when Michael gets a bug about something, then he doesn't stop until it's settled. Until he kills it. Until he squashes that bug. Michael's current thing is historic street names. And we sort of knew about some of these street names. We knew that there were associations with the War of 1812. We have groups of streets in Cambridge that are named for colleges, they're named for civil engineers, they're named for Harvard presidents, they're named for relatives of Francis Dana. There's these groups of streets scattered around the city, but no one has ever really pulled it together to help us understand how they were all named and where they came from. So Michael's has started on that with the War of 1812 streets because that anniversary was coming up, and has done incredible research, has helped them prepare a booklet that they'd be happy to sell to you. And then Sue Clippinger agreed, of this, it was traffic department head, agreed to manufacture these signs at the traffic department's expense and install them. And we're very generous in doing that. That's not it's way outside the ordinary traffic engineering idea of how to mark the city. So you've seen this, even though we're just unveiling this sample, you've seen the signs that have been up since the summertime. And it's a credit to the department as well as to Michael and everyone else that these were so successful. So we hope to do more. We hope these are a prototype for similar commemorative street signs that will go up around the city.
Okay. Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
No, you must.
A very, very few words. I obviously, I'm getting an awful lot of credit. I am up to the letter F on the streets, and so there's 20 more letters to go, but we're moving ahead. So a few years from now, we'll have that project for you. But project would have gotten nowhere without the cooperation of Dab and Charlie, Kit, a whole bunch of other people. Henrietta, who went along with the idea of a Cambridgeport history project, which developed into this event and the sponsor of a number of other things. So it's really a community thing. Thank you all. And I would tell you the story of the 1812 streets, except that you're going to give a pitch for the...
I will.
Kit will give a pitch for the book. Yes.
I will give a shot.
So, thank you.
So would you two like to unveil the sign?
Oh my gosh, yeah. How do we do it?
It looks like you take one end and I take the other.
Ta-da!
Uh-oh, up.
Up, up, up.
You can learn more. Brand new book. It's on sale today for less than it will be on sale tomorrow. There's also an exhibit that gives you more details about all of the people and the events and the ships that these streets are named for. And this website here is actually live. So if you either type that in, or if you are able to access the QR code that's on the exhibit, that will take you right to more details. So it's been wonderful learning about the War of 1812. It's one of those things that so few people know anything about, but had a huge impact on the life of Cambridgeport. So thank you all very much for coming, and enjoy the rest of the day.
What happens to a royal nation when the royal image is stripped from it? What defines a royal image of a royal family? How does a royal image differ from other types of national images, such as government, geographic location, inhabitants? Those are important questions that need to be answered in an intelligent and informative way, so that we have a better understanding of the difference between a royal image as part of a nation's history and other types of national images. Let's look at the example of Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Royal history of Poland begins early with the Piast dynasty. It is transformed in 966 AD to a Christian royal family image with a royal wedding of Polish Prince Mieszko I and Czech Princess Dąbrówka. This was at a time of powerful cooperation between the Holy Roman Empire and Byzantine Christianity. Holy Roman Empire continued the high royal image tradition inherited from the long line of emperors. We can still enjoy it in the royal image of Vatican, the high office of the Roman Catholic Church.